What you're about to see is totally classified.
What you're about to see is top secret. Do not tell my mother.
In one of the craziest games of the season, Newcastle have left with a point. Although unexpected,
It wasn't the game that we maybe wanted it to be.
but Newcastle are still in control of their destiny.
You serious?
From our saviour on the wing.
Been out for that long, I was just excited to get on the pitch, help the team out. I did that today.
To Eddie Howe's delayed subs and Longstaff's hidden truth, let's break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Newcastle United 4, Luton Town 4.
Let's go.
Starting off with the Longstaff dilemma. Longstaff's performance in the match has divided opinions. While he managed to have a match rating of 8.1, make several runs into the opposing team's area and score 2 goals, meaning that he has scored more goals in 23 minutes versus Luton than he did in the whole of the 2018-19, 2019-20, 2020-21, 2021-22 and 2022-23 Premier League seasons, and now has 6 goals across all competitions this season. There are concerns about his overall ability and contribution to the game. Bruno Guimaraes and Lewis Neely both outplayed him in touches, accurate passes, key passes, accurate crosses, and accurate long balls throughout the game. It is his giveaways that led to 2 of Luton's goals, and he lacked control of the game. He struggled to read the game, reacting rather than anticipating the ball's movement and failing to understand the flow of the game happening around him. This resulted in the midfield as a whole being chaotic and not providing adequate support to the defense. The midfield was nowhere near good enough. It made Ross Barkley look like Kevin De Bruyne at times. So despite Longstaff's goals, his overall performance was lacking and he did not contribute much beyond scoring. The second thing we learned was Eddie Howe's poor in-game management. He should have brought on Livramento earlier in the game, like he did in the Villa game. He waited too long until the team was already losing 4-2 before making the substitution. Howe was too reactionary and not making substitutions earlier when it was clear that Dan Burn was struggling against Chidozie Ogbini, who is one of the fastest and best progression via carry players in the league. He was their outlet on the right, and it was evident Luton were focused on attacking Dan Burn. It's no surprise Dan Burn had a very low match rating of 5.5, being dribbled past 3 times and committed 1 penalty. Teams have figured out how to exploit the team's vulnerabilities, particularly in transition and on the right side where Dan Burn is getting rinsed. Howe needs to be more assertive in making necessary changes. However, according to Eddie Howe, it's not as simple as it's often made out.
How tempted were you to sort of stem the tide down that channel next to Dan Burn a little bit earlier in the game? Yeah, easy to say now, of course. Dan brings such a lot to our game, especially from set plays with how big Luton are, and we conceded the first goal from a set play, so that's always sort of in the back of my mind, because without Joelinton's height in midfield we are smaller, yeah, that was in my thinking.
Yes, Dan Burn has won 73.2% of his aerial duels this season, the 10th best across any player in the Premier League and the 2nd best for a fullback. But he really struggled badly against Ogbene, and the negatives of that battle probably outweighed his positives in set pieces. Ultimately, he should have gone off earlier, but his exclusion does mean sacrifices elsewhere, but it was worth the sacrifice. Hopefully, Howe's team selection in the next game against Forest will reflect a more proactive approach to addressing the team's weaknesses.
I could see that as a very real possibility.
Then moving on to the third thing we learned, and that is the 1-in, 1-out policy. Although Callum Wilson was included in the match squad, Alexander Isak was out due to injury, but the major issue was Anthony Gordon's injury in the game, which saw him leaving the stadium on crutches.
One of the players going off was Anthony Gordon, who we've seen has left the stadium with a protective boot on. Can you tell us more about the injury there?
Yeah, unknown really. I think he twisted his ankle. He said it wasn't good enough to continue, so we made the change. Really disappointed. He's been so good for us in various positions. He's been magnificent, and we certainly hope he's not out for any length of time.
There were not many positives for Newcastle on the night, but Harvey Barnes coming from injury was one of them. I loved how early he got his shots off and how intelligent his movements were, and he produced a really good goal on his weaker foot. A player of few actions, but they're always decisive, a complete opposite to Almiron in terms of decisiveness. His goal means Harvey Barnes has scored and assisted 3 goals in 7 Premier League games for Newcastle so far.
I think I said before, this team's built on character, and we showed that in abundance today. The disappointing thing is you don't want to be 4-2 behind. You want to be controlling the game, leading the game like we were earlier on, and sustaining that. But of course, when we are in that position, you know the team's going to keep fighting like we did today, and then we're pushing for the winner at the end. It didn't come, but there's definitely positives, yeah.
It took within 10 minutes for you to get your name on the score sheet. What were your instructions before coming onto the pitch?
Just come on and make an impact, and you know, I've been out for that long. I was just excited to get on the pitch, help the team out. I did that today. Obviously wasn't enough for the 3 points, but for me it was just, you know, I was just buzzing to be back out there. It's been so long. It's been my toughest period really in football. You know how long I've been out, coming to a new club and you get hit with injury. It's the worst thing. So I've been working hard. You know, today it's great to get the goal, but just disappointed it wasn't the one to get 3 points.
Obviously you've been ruled out for around 5 months. Just how pleased were you not just to be back on the pitch but contributing immediately for the team?
Yeah, no, and I think the good thing was I felt like I've been at a level now for the last few weeks where when I was back involved, it wasn't just to be back a part of it. It was I felt like I was in a good place where when I was back, I was going to come back and make an impact. And you know, thankfully I did that today. And the rest of the season now, it's all about helping the team out as much as I can.
By the way, do you still remember this commentary on Harvey Barnes?
And now Harvey Barnes. Oh, he's an equaliser. Harvey Barnes. Get in.
The fourth thing we learned was Captain Fantasy, who now is the first defender to join the 100 FPL points club this season. By the way, do you have him in your team? Because I do. In the game itself, Trippier had 96 touches, 38 out of 57 passes completed, 5 out of 7 ground duels won, 3 out of 3 tackles won, 2 key passes, 1 big chance created, 1 goal, 1 assist. So Kieran Trippier has scored and assisted in the same game for the first time for Newcastle United, registering 9 Premier League assists this season. No player has more, and Leroy Sane is the only player in Europe's top 5 leagues with more. This is also Trippier's best assist return of his career. And with that, in the current season, Kieran Tripper has 11 goal or assists in 31 games. On his thoughts on the match, Eddie Howe said,
It wasn't the game that we maybe wanted it to be, in a sense of the control that we wanted in the game, and we never quite got. And that's credit to Luton, and also a criticism of us that we didn't really deliver what we wanted to do. But lots of positives as well, because we came back from a losing position, which we haven't done enough this season. So great credit to the players in that respect.
Obviously one of the main talking points, a lot of talking points, but one of the main ones was Luton's third goal. What were your thoughts on the awarding of the penalty? It looked slightly harsh.
Yeah, I've only seen it live, and yeah, I've got no idea whether it was inside the out or outside the box, whether it was actually a foul. No idea. You probably have more of an idea than I have.
Do you feel that though gave a different matter to the outcome of the game ultimately?
Well, I think 2-2. I think we're very much, in my opinion, I'm hoping we're going to go on and win the game. In that position, I think we're in a good place to do that. I think as soon as it goes 3-2, that probably contributes to us conceding again, because in that moment I think we lost our composure and lost our way a little bit due to the scoreline. But thankfully we refound it, and credit to all the players for how we regrouped from that moment and found a way back in, because Luton were playing very well.
Then, in a transfer window roundup, Newcastle United has finally announced the signing of Alfie Harrison from Manchester City for an undisclosed fee. Harrison's contract is valid until June 2026. Speaking after joining the club, Harrison said, "The size of the club and what it has got going for it is massive for me. It's got a huge, passionate fan base, and I'm looking to really push on with my career now." The club also confirmed that Charlie Wiggett has joined Sligo Rovers on a permanent, Michael Ndewini joins Annan Athletic on loan, Isaac Hayden joins Queen's Park Rangers on loan.
Hi Rangers fans, Isaac Hayden here. Really looking forward to getting out and playing in front of you guys, and hopefully we can climb the table the second half of the season. Come on you R's.
Josh Scott joins Queen's Park Ranger on a permanent. Jay Turner-Cook has been recalled from his loan spell at St Johnstone. While according to the training ground guru, Johnny King is leaving Leicester City after 2.5 years to become the senior physio at Newcastle United, replacing head physio Danny Murphy, who left the Magpies at the start of the year. King and Eddie Howe are familiar with each other, as King previously served as the head of Academy Sports Science and Medicine at Bournemouth from April 2012 to March 2014. Also in other news, Ben Parkinson, Michael Nduwani, and Amadou Diallo have each been presented with a Premier League debut ball after making their English top-flight debuts for Newcastle United this season. While it has also been announced that England will play at St James's Park for the first time since March 2005 when they host Bosnia on the 3rd of June.
You mean to tell me you watched the entire video but you haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe